Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I want to thank you for joining me. I had my hair straightened and I went to the gym and it fluffs. So I was trying to look pretty for you guys, but I'm just going to have to do the curly thing. So we're going to get started. That was random. We're going to get started. I am ready to, you know, go to bed. I go to bed like an old lady. So we're gonna get right in, right? I took a few days. I always take time for myself when I feel and I'm guided to. That's just, I get overstimulated with energies and I'm constantly being sent different forms of energy. And so I like to, and then new things are revealed to me. So I go into hibernation. Like it's part of my self-care process. I've learned when to move and when not to move, Not all movement is progress. And so I like to give from my cup overflowing, not because I feel like I need to, right? So that's just another short fun fact about me. So I over the past few days I've been before I went into my little mini self-care vacation where I just, you know, don't post anything. At least not any of my videos. I was thinking, contemplating about the other side of ourselves, right? So, you know how there's light and darkness, right? A lot of us, because of the programming that we receive, we tend to operate in either or, right? And we're always going deeper into one and not having the balance. So for everything good, there's something bad, right? So there's always an opposite of whatever it is that we're dealing with for everything, God and the devil, hell and heaven, good and bad, just yin and yang. And so the same thing for us individuals, right? So we have sides of us, traits about ourselves that we sometimes repress or neglect or don't even acknowledge that are there, right? And so for me, because I have gone through a lot of spell work, a lot of dark magic being done on me from a very young age, right? And prior to me having my not just my spiritual awakening, but with accompanied by ascending, right? I was able to appreciate the the spell work and the dark magic being sent my way because what that did for me was that it taught me more about myself, right? So anything that was able to trigger me meant that I needed to heal, that I needed to address. And so it also showed me uh, that other aspect of humanity, of pure evil, where pure evil exists, right? And I was able to see it face to face. And although I was in it and I grew up in it, I was in in fear. It's infiltrated with illusions, like just bombarded with illusions, right? To block my intuition and to block what was actually happening. And because nothing was ever done in front of me, and I was raised by people that portray to be Christians, godly people, people of the light, right? The light that I was following was a false light. It was a light of repression, a light of do as I say, not as I do. It was a light of your opinion, your feelings, your needs are not valid. You follow suit, right? And so what it taught me when I had at the beginning of my awakening, and then later on, specifically later on, as I evolved, as I started to ascend and experience ascension symptoms and claim my inheritance, while here my spiritual inheritance, what that taught me was that on the other side of things, there was pure evil, right? And I didn't have to get it from strangers. I didn't have to see it from strangers. I was able to see it from the people's closest to me, from the people that I love the most, right? And so the enemy had been targeting me from a very young age because of the purpose that I hold, because of the power that I hold, because of who I am to God, right? And so with all of this, what it allowed me to come to the understanding of is who I am to God and who I walk with in this earthly realm, right? And the power that I hold. And I, as I, thought about these things, I also thought about how these people, they use the moon to send in, attacks, summon gens and things like that. We're going to get into that later. But what it taught me was that, you know, the moon also was able to teach me a lot about myself, like what was on the other side of me, right? So because I operated from a point of very naive, very innocent, right? Not perfect, not at all. Not perfect at all, but very naive in nature, right? I wasn't aware of any of these practices before. I didn't think that magic was real. I didn't know that these practices existed. I wasn't aware of the things that people would go and do and the lengths that they would go and do. I wasn't aware of how energy was manipulated and our free will was manipulated and how our wounds were the access point. And for in order for me to
Mom,
yes, my love.
she's here.
Okay, I'm coming.
Oh, the baby's downstairs. He's relaxed.
Okay.
Can I just go?
I'm coming. Give me 1 minute. And how our energy is manipulated and our free will is manipulated and attachments are sent to us and the access point is our wounds. I wasn't aware of any of this, right? And so what this was for me was basically an initiation with a whole bunch of training, yeah, a lot of training, a lot of training, a lot of training on spiritual warfare, a lot of training on different practices that people use, and a lot of training on how to transmute it, alchemize it for the highest good and harm to none.